A fiery crowd tonight at the school board meeting. It's over learning that most of the school resource officers in the metro at high schools and middle schools have shock gloves as an option. Omaha police and the mayor issued a joint statement today saying it's a safer tool than others and used rarely when a student is violent and out of control. City's even offering to demonstrate it for the public and walk everyone through officer training. But tonight, the public who spoke at the school board meeting, well, they don't seem interested in that. First Alert 6's Andrew Pfeiffer. Listen to the comments. He joins us live in the studio. What'd you learn tonight, Andrew?
Yeah, Brian, members of the public were furious tonight. Even members of the school board were upset. At tonight's meeting, the board allowed 29 people to take the podium and share their thoughts, some even asking to be shocked by the gloves.
Do any of the school resource officers here tonight have those gloves on them? If so, I'm willing and I'm volunteering to be shocked right here, right now. No? I think that's pretty telling.
Tempers flare at Omaha Public School Board's meeting tonight.
If one of the students gets shocked, we will be the ones showing up if we get that call to shock that school.
Omaha police and the mayor stress the gloves are a less impactful option than a taser when confronting a violent or out of control student, pointing out to First Alert 6 that the shock gloves were only used twice last year against a student who punched a guard and another student who came to the wrong high school and fought a security guard. On this night, no one from the public spoke in support of the gloves.
These are intended for children.
Makes me even more mad, especially because it's already been used on our students.
Lux Tipton and Lillian Jones are students at Omaha Central.
It feels disrespectful to students and to parents that this is just now getting out. I heard about it through the news and not through the OPS school board, not through the OPD.
Lux has a twin brother with autism. She's worried an outburst could jeopardize his safety.
These gloves are most likely going to be used on him, and that could not only affect him mentally, but also physically.
What purpose and what actual safety do they actually serve in our schools?
Nick Koehler is a former student. He's the one who asked to be shocked by a glove.
And I remember during my time at Central High School, there were fights. There were instances I walked through pepper spray multiple times from individuals breaking up a fight with the school resource officer. As awful as that was, I personally would rather go through that than have to see an individual be shocked.
The board showing support tonight.
The city shouldn't be making decisions that directly change what officers carry around our students and then bypass the district's leadership.
Our kids deserve a safe learning environment. They deserve a thriving environment, and that is what we want to focus on and what we want to push forward.
A reminder, OPS has the decision to change their contract with the Omaha Police Department. The board says they will look into this issue more and continue supporting their public and their students. Omaha police say school resource officers have traditional tasers, batons, guns, and pepper spray at their disposal, but say those have a higher potential for harm than the gloves. Reporting live in the studio, Andrew Pfeiffer, First Alert 6.
Andrew, this isn't the last we're hearing on this. Thanks.